All right, so you've been in a church service or around your crazy charismatic friend, and the tongues just start to flow, they start to burst out. It might seem strange to you, it seems strange to some other people. You might think people are faking it. I've been there before too. The reality is, sometimes they are. Oftentimes, it isn't actually a supernatural gift of the Spirit, but rather a person allowing their mouth to move faster than their brain. It's okay. I spoke in tongues praying for a man about 25 years ago for the first time as he was experiencing severe pain. A language just came out of me. Over the next 20 years, I didn't really speak in tongues again. And then at one point, the tongues once again started to flow. But I had to work on the gift. It's like any other skill. And I had to learn how to yield, that it's actually God speaking through me. When we understand tongues biblically, especially in light of having an interpretation, it isn't so strange and it isn't weird at all. I categorize tongues in three kinds of categories or three different ways. And this is for your information. You can do this how you want, but this is helpful for me. See, in Acts 2 at Pentecost, we see that the people were speaking in different languages. This is different than the gift of tongues that Paul talked about in 1 Corinthians 12 through 14. How do I know? Because Paul said that when we give a word with the gift of tongues, there needs to be an interpreter present. The people at Pentecost didn't need interpreters. This was something different. I do have a friend that moved to the US from Mexico and she couldn't speak any English. One day, all of a sudden, she miraculously could speak English. And this is similar to what happened on Pentecost. God can still work and he can still move in this way. But it's not the gift of tongues, the supernatural gift of tongues, although that is supernatural in nature, that Paul was talking about in 1 Corinthians 12 to 14. Another way that people will speak in tongues isn't really supernatural in nature. It's just people moving their mouths faster than their brains can work. There's nothing wrong with this. It's similar to singing la 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 instead of the lyrics to a song. It's just part of our human experience where our brain can go faster than our mouths can move sometimes. It can be our spirit too. The last way is the actual gift of tongues that Paul talked about in 1 Corinthians 12 to 14. See, this is supernatural in nature. It's a supernatural language, different from the supernatural enablement of speaking an actual earthly language like we see in Acts 2. When this happens, it's actually very powerful because God is speaking through us and it's a prayer directed towards God. We can see this again in 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 2, that a word in a tongue is meant to be directed towards God, as opposed to prophecy, which is God speaking through us to other people. When someone has a word in a tongue, it should be a prayer that is directed towards God, and they should ensure that there is an interpreter present before they give that word if there are other people around. Paul is clear about this in 1 Corinthians 14, verse 26. When we look at tongues this way, you know what? It isn't really that strange after all. It's a beautiful gift from God, and there's power in it. So, how can we do this? How can we cultivate this gift? First of all, we can ask God for the gift of tongues. We are to eagerly desire his gifts, and that includes the gift of tongues. Secondly, don't freak out if you get the gift, and don't freak out if you don't get the gift. It's a gift from God. It's available to all believers, but it's not a requirement for salvation, ministry, or anything else. If you aren't moving in the gifts of the Spirit like you see in Scripture, my goal is to help you get there. Join us on this journey and hit the button below. You can get there. God is for you.